All right, traders, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the live room, the New York session. Hope everyone is doing well. We've got a little bit of a slower day in the market, at least from what's on my radar and my perspective, but coming off some pretty busy movements. That's typically how the market goes. We go through times of lots of movement, right? Very busy times, and we go to slow times. And the goal is to take advantage of the busy times and not do more than we're supposed to. And the time is to be aware and be alert during kind of the slower times. And once again, not do more than we're supposed to. So, as always, we're going to start with the trade of the day, live streaming the first kind of conversation we have. Then I'll kick the social media people out and we'll focus here in the live room. And we're going to get started by revisiting a pair that I believe we left off last week, which was the Aussie dollar, right? Aussie dollar is interesting. And you remember last week we had a trade here at the bottom. Now, this was a cool trading opportunity because it actually killed two birds with one stone, right? Obviously, we got a trading opportunity, worked out pretty well, but we also got to discuss and give a live example to a trader whose trade plan I was critiquing, and he ended up watching the video. It made perfect sense, and he is thankful for all of the feedback that we gave him. This also brings up a different conversation as well, one that I had over the weekend with one of our traders about target taking, because our target in this, or the target I took in this particular trade, was a lot lower, and you can see price has followed through pretty significantly. And the trader was basically asking, "Hey, since you're out of the trade and price keeps going higher, do you feel upset? Do you feel like you missed out?" Or rather, it was phrased, "How do you deal with the feeling that you missed out, FOMO?" And I want to ask you guys that. We've all been in trades where we've taken a trade, it's rolled up, we've made money, we've been happy, and then it continues up, and then we're like, man, wish I could have made more, right? Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? How do you guys deal with that situation? How do you deal with a trade that runs well, does everything you want it to do, but then continues on without you being involved? Does it bother you? Does it motivate you? Do you not care at all? Is there a particular practice that you do to use it to help you? What would you guys say? 'Cause this is very important. I also read this article yesterday about how many day traders succeed. And I'm going to do a podcast on it, I believe, episode 707 of the Trading Coach podcast. And it was a guy who was working on a prop firm, and he noticed some interesting things. And then one of the interesting things that he noticed on the prop firm was that many of the struggling traders never used any of the successful traders to their advantage, right? Could you imagine that? Imagine yourself being on a prop firm, right? On the trading floor, and you have access to great traders, successful traders, arguably some of the best traders alive, I would say. And you never actually use them. Is it any surprise that those traders fail? Right? It's crazy. It's crazy. I said I don't want to ruin the whole podcast, but I never had a chance to work for a prop firm, but I watched some documentaries on it, and I pretended like I was there. Right? As I'm watching these documentaries, right, I'm sitting at my home taking notes like I was actually there, learning from these guys, right? Because that's the closest I can get at the time before I was put in a position where I can actually meet some of these people in real life. But another thing from that article is also learning from your not just learning from other people in the industry, but learning from your opportunities. Alex on YouTube real quick says trailing stop loss I would target. Trailing stop loss is a method. Yep. Now we have to remember with trailing stop losses, before I read Cody's comment, trailing stop losses always seem good, right? When the trade's running your direction. But as you spoke about in yesterday's Q&A, the thing about a trailing stop loss is that what has to happen for that trailing stop to be triggered? Like ultimately, before you're out of the trade, what happens before that trailing stop gets triggered? Price has to retrace. So it's a gift and a curse. Don't get me wrong. I think trade management is a very valuable part of taking the next step in becoming a consistently profitable trader. But like anything else, you got to be able to do it the right way. And sometimes it's very easy to say, "Oh yeah, I would have trailed here. I would have trailed there." But and it's nice when it wins, but when it loses, you can actually be more profitable having a set target. So we got to keep that in mind as well. Particularly in this scenario, right? There probably is no place to trail right now. But real quick, Cody says, sometimes it gets to me, going back to the original question. That's a good comment, Alex, by the way. Sometimes it gets to me, going back to the original question about watching price move without you. But knowing that my initial target profit area that I had predicted was correct is always the best gratification you can have. Knowing your analysis was correct and your system is working. And I agree, right? I think the biggest pride you can take in a trade, and it's weird, you may not notice this as first as a trader, but even sometimes when you lose, is making the right prediction. So even if I have an aggressive trade and price action comes to that level, stalls at that level, bounces a little bit, and then ultimately goes and stops me out, there's a little bit inside of me, right? Aside from the rage of being stopped out and returning money to the market, there's a little bit inside of me that is happy. Because guess what? If I was completely wrong, would the market have even paused at that area? No. So the fact that the market paused, thought about it, we didn't get the follow through, right? It's imagine like in baseball where I'm facing a stud pitcher and I strike out, but I get to a 3-2 count. I hit a couple foul balls and I gave it a good go. Sometimes you got to be like, hey, that's a moral victory. Or going back to the Wrexham show the other day, they were explaining about the owners are new to soccer, so they were trying to figure out like how come some ties are good and some ties are bad. How can they be one or the other? It's the same thing. Again, Everton tied Liverpool the other day. That's a good tie. I'll take that's like a win. So I agree with that, Cody. But the next step as well is, we're always talking about continued education. We always talk about the value of journaling. Is you take notes, guys, right? We should always be reviewing our trades, not just our winners, but our losers as well. And when we review our trades, right, and sometimes we can review them, a month later, depending on what time duration you're at and how long it takes, review our trades and let's ask ourselves, is there anything I missed? Was there another level of structure that I didn't take into account? Did something happen in an indicator that I didn't pay attention to? Was there a news event that blah, 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 right? We should always be thirsty for knowledge. We should always be looking for how can we increase our edge by the slightest of margins. So I thought it was a cool example from that. From a trading perspective, let's go down to a lower time frame. It's going to be a lower time frame one. I'm looking at still more room to the upside. Now we know this is a dangerous level on the higher time frame, right? This is going to be a wick on the higher time frame. But from a lower time frame perspective, I think we can test this zone up here, right? You can see our most recent move is this, and this will get clearer as we go down to the hourly and then ultimately to the minute charts, right? We consolidated above previous structure right here. Fought it off a little bit and then broke higher, right? Consolidated again below previous structure, fought it off, and it looks like we're breaking higher. I still think we have room to push higher. The next really step or place we can go to here is going to be about 69.50s. So we look down at the hourly, right? You can see a pretty aggressive move here by the bulls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullish candles in a row. In this case, breaking and closing above our previous level of structure, giving us new highs right there. Perfect time to look for, well, I guess it depends on how you're trading. If you're a breakout trader, right, probably should have been involved already. If you're a pullback trader, perfect opportunity. Look for a pullback. Look for a little bit of relief. Again, it's been a pretty significant bullish run. Our relative strength index at the bottom of your chart. I got to get my ATR back down there. Deleted that yesterday. Our relative strength index at the bottom of our chart is overbought. So there may be a chance we see some relief. Some relief may come in the form of a pullback. And then we look for an opportunity to reload and potentially take advantage of another trading opportunity. So this is one where the hourly is going to be your higher time frame most likely. And if you're a day trader, you're going down to the 15 and the 5. And you're looking for these little pullbacks, right? You got a nice little shelf right here you can take advantage of. Price action pulls back down to this shelf. Look for an opportunity to get involved and trade it back up. Your ultimate kind of violation point is going to be right here. So if this first strike doesn't enter here, redo your analysis. We'll have some things we can add as far as retracements and extension. Maybe you get some secondary analysis and you get another opportunity right here in the middle, 1618 and 618. Fibonacci confluence area, something like that. So start looking at this opportunity. Again, first strike is going to be this first level of structure. Second strike, I'd highly look for this area between, let's put it up here, 127 and 50%, 618 and 1618. And then ultimately, this thing is technically not violated until these lows here at 68.60s are violated. And something that's important to remember is that if you are a trend trader, it's a little bit different than counter trend trading. Counter trend trading, typically you get one shot, then you're done, right? Here's my reversal. Here's my hold at structure. Boom. Did it happen? Did it not happen? Boom, it's done. Trend continuation trading, right? A lot more opportunities. So you have to be willing to maybe fire off one trade and have it lose. And hey, a valid trading signal may come again. You got to take that thing again. So keep that in the back of your mind. So Aussie dollar on the radar, potential buying opportunity. Let me get this over to our pro trade log. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If not, live streamers, I'm going to boot you out. Tier 1 traders, we'll figure out where we want to go to next. So give me a couple of seconds to get this in. Of course, before you leave, if you're watching on the live stream, hit that like button. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure that notification bell is hit as well. That way you don't miss it when these things go live. Typically, it's every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but every once in a while, like last week, we had some family issues, so I think we only came in one day a week. Live rumors, let me know where you want to go next. Live streamers, I'll see you guys tomorrow.